As the tributes stand on their podiums, the horn sounds. Tsukasa scares Rui away from the cornucopia. Pomni runs away from the cornucopia. Adeline runs away from the cornucopia. Susie finds a bag full of explosives. Nagito runs away from the cornucopia. So then I ran away from the cornucopia. What? That's crazy. You think that's crazy? Look at this, it's skibbity-toy. Enna runs away from the cornucopia. Mooney runs away from the cornucopia. Jack runs away from the cornucopia. Ray snatches a pair of seis. Kokichi runs away from the cornucopia. Ralsei runs away from the cornucopia. Music Bash grabs a shovel. Nick 30 grabs a backpack, not realizing it is empty. Emu runs away from the cornucopia. Overpay runs away from the cornucopia. Wing Gaster, the royal scientist, runs away from the cornucopia. Autotune Toriel grabs a shield leaning on the cornucopia. Chris rips a mace out of Bjork's hands. Garfield runs away from the cornucopia. Gaster follower number 3, the most well-known Undertale character, runs away from the cornucopia. Nene takes a spear from inside the cornucopia. Pomni begs for Susie to kill her. She refuses, keeping Pomni alive. Music Bash diverts Nene's attention and runs away. Adeline sees smoke rising in the distance, but decides not to investigate. Mooney travels to higher ground. Ralsei camouflages himself in the bushes. Nagito and Kokichi split up to search for resources. Todd collects fruit from a tree. Nick A30 collects fruit from a tree. Overpay attacks Autotune Toriel, but she manages to escape. Emu discovers a river. Gaster follower number 3 begs Bjork to kill him. She refuses, keeping Gaster follower number 3 alive. Rui camouflages himself in the bushes. Garfield receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Jack diverts Wing Gaster, the royal scientist's attention, and runs away. Ray attacks Enna, but she manages to escape. Tsukasa searches for a water source. Chris searches for firewood. Ralsei is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Music Bash is awoken by nightmares. Susie thinks about home. Nick A30 receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Jack receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Run. Rui and Adeline hold hands. Pomni receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Said sponsor could probably be a content farm. Nagito thinks about home. Chris questions their sanity. Wait a minute. This website is homophobic! They don't have they them pronouns! Wingaster, the royal scientist, Tsukasa, Overpay, and Ray tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Autotune Toriel loses sight of where she is. Garfield is awoken by nightmares. God, this image is so me. Kokichi climbs a tree to rest. Nene, Emu, Bjork, Enna, and Mooney sleep in shifts. Gaster follower number 3 starts a fire. Todd goes to sleep. Wing Gaster, the royal scientist, receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Ray hunts for other tributes. Enna receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Kokichi questions his sanity. Jack makes a wooden spear. Gaster follower number 3 spears Susie in the abdomen. Emu makes a wooden spear. Ralsei begs for Mooney to kill him. She refuses, keeping Ralsei alive. Nene attacks Overpay, but he manages to escape. Tsukasa makes a slingshot. Rui and Music Bash split up to search for resources. Omni tries to spearfish with a trident. Adeline searches for firewood. Chris tries to sleep through the entire day. Autotune Toriel scares Garfield off. Bjork receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. Nick A30 and Nagito work together to drown Todd. 2 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Bjork, Nick A30, Autotune Toriel, and Pomni tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Wingaster, the royal scientist, destroys Music Bash's supplies while he is asleep. Emu, Ray, and Tsukasa sleep in shifts. Rui lets Nene into his shelter. Gaster follower number 3 tends to his wounds. Overpay receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. Anna convinces Mooney to snuggle with her. You will snuggle with me, Mooney, and you're gonna like it. Kokichi attempts to start a fire, but is unsuccessful. Garfield dies trying to escape the arena. Adeline thinks about home. Nagito screams for help. Jack lets Ralsei into his shelter. Chris is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Nagito receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. Wingaster, the royal scientist, searches for a water source. Pomni kills Gaster follower number 3 as he tries to run. Rui forces Overpay to kill Emu or Music Bash. He decides to kill Music Bash. Bjork, Autotutorial, Jack, Anna, and Ray hunt for other tributes. Nick A30 tries to sleep through the entire day. Adeline is unable to convince Nene not to kill her. Ralsei explores the arena. Tsukasa discovers a river. Kokichi searches for firewood. Chris defeats Mooney in a fight but spares her life. 4 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Ray and Nagito run into each other and decide to truce for the night. Nick A30 cries himself to sleep. God, this image is so mean. Nene and Mooney talk about the tributes still alive. Kokichi quietly hums. Rui pushes Overpay off a cliff during a knife fight. Let's go! No more built by gamers! No more skibidi toilet! Wingaster, the royal scientist, is awoken by nightmares.
I'm Wingaster, the royal scientist.
Autotutorial and Bjork tell stories about themselves to each other. Anna is awoken by nightmares. Ralsei begs for Tsukasa to kill him. He reluctantly obliges, killing Ralsei. Emu screams for help. Pomni and Chris sleep in shifts. Jack thinks about home. Pomni practices her archery. Nagito diverts Wingaster, the royal scientist's attention and runs away. Rui scares Tsukasa off. Nick A30 diverts Ray's attention and runs away. Chris tends to Emu's wounds. Jack runs away from Nene. Kokichi attacks Anna, but she manages to escape. Mooney poisons Autotutorial's drink. She drinks it and dies. Bjork tries to spearfish with a trident. 3 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Nagito, Anna, Bjork, and Pomni sleep in shifts. Tsukasa fends Nick A30, Kokichi, and Emu away from his fire. Wingaster, the royal scientist, begs for Chris to kill him. They refuse, keeping Wingaster, the royal scientist, alive. Mooney climbs a tree to rest. Rui and Ray sleep in shifts. Nene questions her sanity. Jack looks at the night sky. Kokichi falls into a frozen lake and drowns. Nagito is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Anna kills Bjork with a hatchet. Nick A30 attempts to climb a tree, but falls to his death. Pomni chases Chris. Tsukasa questions his sanity. Ray searches for a water source. Emu sets an explosive off, killing Jack. Rui and Mooney work together for the day. Wingaster, the royal scientist, discovers a river. Nene travels to higher ground. 4 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Rui screams for help. Chris accidentally detonates a landmine while trying to arm it. Pomni and Emu sleep in shifts. Nene and Mooney run into each other and decide to truce for the night. Nagito and Wingaster, the royal scientist, talk about the tributes still alive. Anna is unable to convince Ray to not kill her. Tsukasa falls into a pit and dies. The cornucopia is replenished with food, supplies, weapons, and memoirs from the tribute's families. Uni decides not to go to the feast. Rui severely injures Wingaster the royal scientist, but puts him out of his misery. Emu decides not to go to the feast. Pomni, Nagito, and Nene get into a fight. Nene triumphantly kills them both. Rei decides not to go to the feast. Rui is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Rei discovers a cave. Nene tries to spearfish with a trident. Emu ambushes Mooney and kills her. 7 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Emu poisons Nene's drink, but mistakes it for her own and dies. Rui thinks about winning. Rei climbs a tree to rest. Rei searches for a water source. Rui makes a slingshot. Nene constructs a shack. 1 cannon shot can be heard in the distance. Rui convinces Nene to snuggle with him. Rei climbs a tree to rest. Nene picks flowers. Rui and Rei hunt for other tributes.
Damn, Daniel!
Nene's trap kills Rui. Rei unknowingly eats toxic berries. And the winner is Nene Kusanagi from District 3! Everyone give a hand for